Today, I'm going to be talking about something that's a little different to usual. I'm not going to be doing any gaming. I'm not going to be doing a vlog about myself as such in sort of frequently asked questions sort of way or something like that. This is instead a video which I want to be doing for a long time now. So I thought it's best to try and do it now rather than later. Now, if you don't know already, I am a type 1 diabetic, and that means that I have to do 4 injections a day. I have to check my sugars constantly to make sure my sugars aren't going low or high, and it also means that I can't eat whenever I like. And if I do want to eat, I usually have to do an injection with that. Diabetes is something which has become quite common. Really, in the past few years, I have friends who have become diabetic. I have people in my school who have become diabetic. People who I know across the internet just have become diabetic because it's becoming more and more common, and that's quite terrifying. And I can remember when I first got diabetes that I felt really scared because there was nobody there to really explain it to me as such. You had people who would try and help me out, like nurses, and you had my parents, but they didn't know. I felt very scared, and they helped me through as much as I could, but they didn't know what it felt like to have diabetes, and I didn't have that as I grew up with diabetes, and I'd like to be able to have a video up on YouTube, which you can watch if you have become diabetic recently, just to know that there are other people out there who are like you, and we've managed to get through it. So first of all, I'm going to tell you the story of how I got diabetes because I think that's probably a good place to start. So when I was in year 3, I just came into junior school. I don't know what it is for American viewers. I'm sorry, I'm not too sure about the American school, and I should probably learn that. Anyway, when I went into year 3, I was about 8 years old, roughly. I'm not too sure about that, but I was 8 years old and I definitely got diabetes, so we'll just go with that. And when I got diabetes, it was absolutely terrifying. I mean, previously to that, I had a lot of trouble with drinking, not alcohol or anything like that. I wasn't like an 8-year-old boozer, but just like drinking things like fruit juices and squash and stuff like that. And that was a sign of diabetes. When I was in year 1, I believe, I was in Italy and I passed out. And that could possibly have links to my diabetes. That could be the first signs. I'm not too sure. But that's beyond the point. In year 3, when I had these drinks, it started to get quite concerning. I would be drinking gallons, it felt like, just so much drink in a day, all fruit juice, and little would I realise that later on this would raise my sugars extraordinarily high. So it came round to one night and my parents went out for a meal to a local restaurant, and my nan and my granddad were babysitting me and my sister, and I went to sleep at a decent time because I was young and I would go to sleep at a normal time then. And I was just lying in bed. I closed my eyes and I kept on wanting to drink, and I was having visions in my head. I was opening up my eyes and I could just see bottles of water and things just around my head and things. And I know that sounds really weird, but that's the way it was. It was absolutely terrifying, and I never ever want to experience it again. It may sound absolutely stupid, but it felt like I was going insane. So I screamed because I was an 8-year-old and I was terrified, and my mum and dad came home soon after my nan and granddad called them. And in the morning I went to the doctor's surgery, and then the results came back that I was diabetic. My mum cried. My sister cried. She didn't even know what diabetes was, but she still cried because she was so scared for me. My dad was in absolute shock, and I didn't really know what was going on. I was very confused, and I didn't really want to be there. So, next thing I knew, I was being carried off to hospital, and I was told that my life was about to change. And When I got to the hospital, I was shown the basics, like the sugar kit. Here is your sugar monitor. This is what you use to check your sugars with, and you have your strips, which are here, and then you use your finger pricker, which stabs your finger. So you stab your finger with this, you get the blood out, you put the strip into the meter, and then the meter recognises the sugar level, and depending on what the reading is, depends on what you then do next. If your sugars are around 6 area, it's all good, you don't have to worry about anything. If your sugars are below 4, then you have to have something sugary because your sugar levels are low. And if your sugars are high, which is classed by over 10, then you usually have to do an injection to bring your sugars down or do exercise. Now, you may be wondering, hang on, all this stuff about blood sugars, I'm a bit confused. Basically, there is an organ in everybody's body and it produces insulin. It's called the pancreas, and my pancreas is a bit crap. To be quite honest, it's a bit dead, and that's kind of proved to be a bit of a problem. I can't have insulin in my body. It can't be pumped around my body. I have to put the insulin in myself because there is none being created by my pancreas, because my pancreas has just knocked the hell out of here. So I have to do these injections. I have to do 4 injections a day, and this insulin then lasts me through the day. I have a Lantus injection at night, and that lasts me through the entire day, and then I have injections called fast acting or Nova Rapid to go in between those when I have meals and things, because you need extra insulin for them. So there's your little bit of education on diabetes. So back to my story, I can remember after being shown all this stuff, just being absolutely terrified, and the idea of just stabbing myself with things and blood coming out was something like an 8-year-old didn't particularly want. Especially considering I was the same 8-year-old when I was 3 years old, had to go for a jab, and I kicked the injection out of the nurse's hand because I was so scared. So this was a big step for me, and a very terrifying one at that. But I fought through it, and that's what matters, really. I can remember in hospital getting to grips with my diabetes and finding it so difficult. I lashed out at my dad quite a few times because I was just so emotionally just disturbed. It was so different to what I was used to before. Suddenly, so many things had changed in my life, and I had to be really, really careful. Once returning home from the hospital, I had to get on with my normal life, I suppose. And when it came around to having injections, my mum would chase me around the house for quite a few minutes, just chasing after me because I would not stay still because I didn't want to have this injection inside of me. And my mum must have felt absolutely terrified as well, and must have felt so awful about having to actually stab me with this needle that she knew I didn't want. And I don't think my mum realises it, but if it wasn't for her, I don't think I could have got through diabetes in quite the way that I have. She's really, really helped me to get control of my diabetes and become far, far more independent. And I just want to say thank you to her, because I know she'll be watching this video, and it really does mean so much for all the stuff you've done. And I know I don't show that all the time. I don't show how grateful I am, but I really am, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I'd be with my diabetes. I could be on the floor just lying there still because I wouldn't know what to do. So thank you. And while I'm also talking about people to thank, my nurse, Sarah, was also absolutely fantastic, and all the dietitians and the other diabetic nurses who just helped me through so much and helped me get to grips with my diabetes. The psychiatrist I had to go see, and just all of those people, everybody who helped me out with my diabetes and got me to where I am today, you're all just brilliant, and I can't thank you enough. So, fast forward, and school became very difficult with diabetes. It wasn't so much people. People were fine, surprisingly. I was greatly respected when I came back from the hospital. I was welcomed back with opening arms from everybody. Lots of people have really missed me, and it was genuinely one of the nicest things ever. I can remember being asked to go take the register to the reception, and while I was out, the teacher told the class all about my diabetes, and nobody gave me any bother except for the school themselves, who would take away my sugar kit, and I'd have to go to the medical room to go do my sugars every single time, which was absolutely ludicrous. And when it came to stuff like physical education, that was an absolute pain in the arse. So, needless to say, I actually got through juniors pretty easily. Went on a few school trips and stuff. It was all absolutely fine. Had my mum backing me up, and it was great. When it came round to secondary school, same sort of stuff. It was all really cool, except some people just weren't ready to accept me. And this is where I kind of encountered a few problems with my diabetes. People would use it as a way of getting to me. They'd use it as something to physically hurt me, and mentally hurt me. I had people who would push me downstairs and hurt me just because I was diabetic and because I was different. It was something they could pick out. And that was tough, but I managed to fight back against that. I'm not somebody who just gives up. I'm not somebody who just accepts that I'm different. And I think because I didn't give up and because I didn't give into their stupid attitude problems and just their overall behaviour, I think it really helped me go through it. And now here I am in sixth form, and it's been absolutely fine. It's been great. I mean, I've had people who take the mickey out of my diabetes, but I don't care because they're not doing it in a spiteful way. They're just my best friends, and we all do that to one another, and it's just stupid fun. And I like taking the mickey out of myself because the thing is, diabetes isn't going to go. It's not something which is only going to be there for a short amount of time and you've just got to get used to it. This is something you have to accept is with you for all your life, potentially, unless they come up with a cure for it. And to be honest, if you can't laugh about it, then that's a great shame, because even though it isn't a funny matter, you can make it a funny matter by laughing at people's jokes and treating yourself differently, but not in a way that people are going to get to you and treat that as a way of mentally hurting you or bullying you. So overall, I just want to say that if you do have diabetes, if you are any young kid or older kid, or not even a kid, if you're somebody who has got diabetes of any age, just keep on fighting through it because it's fine. Don't just give up. I know people who have realised they've got diabetes and they've just realised that that's the end for them, and they don't do anything. They don't do their injections, they don't do their sugars, and as a result, things can happen. You can go blind, you can damage your body ridiculously, and you can even die. That's not something I want. I don't want to die from diabetes. Sure, die is in the name, but that doesn't mean it has to happen. Because whilst die is in the name, beat is also in the name. I like to think I can beat diabetes. I'm not going to let it knock me down. I'm going to keep on fighting because it's really not that bad. Once you get over it, it doesn't stop you from doing normal things. It doesn't stop you from having a good time. It doesn't stop you from spending time with your friends and your family. It's just a hindrance. It's just a problem. It's just an annoying thing which just always sits in the back of your mind, and you just never ever forget about it, and it's always stuck to you. But that doesn't mean it's going to stop you from doing things. You can still do whatever you like and you'll be absolutely fine, because diabetes really isn't that bad. And you can take that from me, from being 8 years old all the way to now, and I'm 17, and I've managed to live with diabetes all those years, and I've had such a lovely time. My years of growing up have been quite something. They've been very sad at times, but also been just full of fantastic memories, and diabetes hasn't stopped them. I've still had a good time, even though I know I have diabetes and I know that I have to check my sugars. I have to be careful. It doesn't stop me from enjoying myself. So that's what I want to leave you guys with today, because if you are somebody who's suffering with diabetes and you feel like it's getting you down, don't let it. Don't let it win, because you can do it, and I believe in you. That is all. That's my diabetes story. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you are diabetic, then just leave a comment below. Maybe just let me know what your story is, and maybe do some video responses. I mean, obviously you can't actually do video responses now because of the whole Google, YouTube thing, you know. But if you send me your video responses down below, I will watch them and I will reply to your video response. But that is all for now. My name is Harry Rickard. That was my diabetes story. I really hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.